Good morning, folks. This is Catherine. It's just a bit after 11 a.m. on Friday the 14th of February 2025, and we've been using here earlier this dim bulb tester, which is an alternative way compared to using a variac if you don't have a variac. We've got here one of the Bell Colts. They came out from about 1951 right up to 1980, but the last of them were transistorized. Probably not the original bulbs, knobs. We've given it a quick check. We can't find anything obvious inside, like dead rats and mice. We've had a look at the mains lead, looking for any obvious defects or safety problems. That looks alright. This dim bulb tester, as detailed in the other video, is got effectively a setup made out of an old extension lead, or two halves. We plug our radio into it. Sometimes with these side entry plugs you do need to, with the socket part, trim a little bit out of that plastic or they won't fit. This is what some people call a tap-on plug, because you can, back in the days when there weren't many wall outlets, you can leave the radio plugged in and plug your kettle or something into it. Now, off, on, so we wanted about 3/4 volume. It's still turned off at the safety switch. That's an RCD or an ELCB. We're going to put the smallest bulb we have, which in this case are 15. They must be a tungsten type, the old-fashioned non-energy efficient bulbs. You cannot use an LED bulb or a compact fluorescent for this purpose, because we're counting on the resistance of this bulb. This is a 15 watts. They're hard to get. Can get them at hardware stores. They sometimes go in fridges and sewing machines, that kind of thing, and they might be called a pilot lamp bulb. So we've got a dim bulb tester, we've got resistance or low power, and we've got full power. So it's obviously made out of parts. We turn on the power supply, and this is going to be news to me as well as you. Okay, that's reasonably bright. That's a little bit of concern. It's not full brilliance, and we've got about 40 volts. Okay. Now, sometimes the radios, the capacitors, they become poor with age, but if they're put on low power and left for a little while, they can somehow get better. We're going to very carefully turn it around. It is connected through the earth leakage circuit breaker. We don't expect to see valves glowing at this stage. We don't expect to see a dial light if there is one glowing. But we're going to look here just for any obvious problems. Careful with the don't touch the metal chassis. It looks like this one does have a dial light fitted. Some older radios didn't have a dial light. It's fine if you have just a very little smell of burning, because there can be dust, and as the valves slowly warm up or other components, a very small burning smell is acceptable. Obviously, if you see physical smoke or anything coming out of it, then please disconnect it from the electric straight away. But no, there's no obvious, not even a wee smell of dust burning. The bulb's a bit brighter than I would have expected. Oh well. Right. That's been, and it's, oh, now the voltage has gone up. That's interesting. It's now pulling about 80 volts. Now, I think that's sort of comparable. In my first video, we checked an Ultimate, which was a model that came out from about 55 to 59. This version of this one, yeah, these came out from around about that same era, from the early 50s to the later 50s. Okay. So we'll turn that off. And just to be clear, we're protected by using a 4-way plug box, which has a miniature circuit breaker built into it. And we've got the earth leakage circuit breaker, the RCD. Bulb's tiny bit warm. We go up now to a 25 watt bulb. which is this one here. We put the power on. That's dim. That's a lot dimmer than a 20. That's not a real 25 watts. And we've got voltage about 120 volts. And again, I think that's sort of fairly similar to what the other radio had. And we're just looking at that voltmeter there. It's about 120, 130 volts. Remember that Australia, New Zealand and many Pacific countries, we use about 230, 240 volts. So the electricity's got to go through this bulb with quite a fair bit of resistance in it before it can go through the radio. Oh, I'm hearing a little bit of crackling. Let's just say there was a really major problem in this. Let's say it had been in the garage, a nail fell in there and was shorting out components, a dead short. It wouldn't blow a fuse or anything. This bulb would just glow very brightly. It would glow at the full brilliance of a normal 25 watt bulb. Definitely hearing a little wee bit of crackles through that speaker. I'm going to take out the 25 watt bulb. Oh, it is a bit warm now, so just be careful if it's been on long enough. This is a 40 watt bulb. I think these radios were rated about 40 watts when new, so this would, if we'll put the power up to that one. Well, that's quite dim, so we know there's no dead short, there's no dead rat in there, there's no nail stuck in there. All that light would be the full 40 watt brilliance. We're looking at the voltage now. What do we got there? About 155, 160. Now it is right next to the television, creating a lot of interference here. Oh, well, there we go. So it's definitely working. We don't want YouTube to have a hernia. And yeah, the voltage around about 150. I've had to turn that down just to just above the stop. No smoke's coming out. Nothing more than a little bit of burning smells acceptable, or just a wee bit of dust burning. A little bit of coughing's acceptable if you've got a cough. We'll just put that on very quietly, just so it's barely on. And I'm going to flick this onto full power, which turns off the light bulb. I have got a 60 watt bulb here. I could go to a bigger bulb, but nothing seems to be wrong with it. We're going to flick it to full power. We're doing about 150 volts now. That's going to go to the full 230 volts. And after a couple of seconds, it comes up even louder. So that radio seems to be working quite good. We can go back down to low power. You see the bulb comes back on again. Radio's still able to go. The valves in that are still warmed up now. There we go. So it's a successful test. We take our blank piece of paper and a pen. I think you know what a pen is. And we'll write on it the model of radio, the date, and the test we provided, which we've used a dim bulb tester, and the radio goes quite good. At least it goes acceptably. Many of these older radios, if you take out the capacitors and replace them with newer capacitors, they'll be better. Sometimes they'll need the capacitors replaced to work at all. A lot of the old capacitors were made out of like waxed paper and that. But there we go. So we did a quick safety test. We powered it up through the dim bulb tester. She's a goer. May have the wrong knobs on, but I guess, you know, given it's from I haven't tracked down the exact year of this one, but from 1950s, 51 to 59, they were pretty much the same. They definitely look like much newer knobs. The early knobs were, they basically had to be broken to get them off, and to get the chassis out of the case, it comes out rearwards. So if it had been serviced in the past, the they literally had to just bust the knobs off them. The early knobs did get absolutely stuck on. So to get one of these with the original knobs is less common. But there we go. First of all, check the radio out for any obvious faults. Obvious, you know, old nails or things fell in there, or dead mouse. Check the cord and the plug for any obvious faults. Connect in your dim bulb tester through some form of RCD or ELCB or safety switch. Some of these are in extension leads, especially if they're designed for use outdoors. Newer houses will probably have an RCD protecting the whole house anyway, and some will have an RCD protecting you know, the wall outlets. But in older houses, you buy these in New Zealand about $15 at Bunnings, and they're good if you're using tools outdoors or anything like that, or in a wet area like washing machines and that. I haven't supplied a wiring diagram for a dim bulb tester, but I think if you ask Mrs. Google or Mrs. DuckDuckGo on the internet, they'll probably give you a circuitry for one. As you see, this one's made out of some parts. We got the restricted or low power, which goes through the light bulb, and when it turns to on, it is of course completely unplugged now. When it's turned to on, it's full power, and we've got a voltmeter to show how much we've actually got happening. And that's all. And I've got another radio here to test, and I might just film that as well, just in case anything really interesting happens. So this is Catherine. I really do have a head. I have a head under here. Good grief. I've had to set the camera up in an unusual angle to be able to catch the voltmeter, the light bulb, and the radio. But we'll do another radio. We've got another one here. We'll give that a test.